Happy Thursday, October 16th, 2025. Coming to you live from Israel once again and talk to you about stuff. In particular, what's going on with the Trump deal between Israel and Hamas. Well, Hamas was supposed to release all of the remaining hostages, alive and dead, within 72 hours of it happening. And they did not do that. In fact, we're now well over that mark by some days, and we have yet to receive all of the dead bodies that are still in Gaza. In fact, of the total number of people that were supposed to return, which was 48, 25, and 28 presumed dead, we received all 20 alive, thank goodness. And of the 28 that were presumed dead, we received a total of 9. And they say that that's all that they're able to find. Israel, however, says that out of the remaining 19 that are yet to be returned, there are at least 10 more that Hamas could return. And Israel has even provided suggested areas to look for them based on its intelligence, saying that is where they likely are. But Hamas has yet to actually return them and make any effort to do so. They are, as I'm telling you, and as I've been telling you since this deal was announced, they are doing everything they can to bend the rules and prolong the process and remain in power as long as possible. Because as they've said many times, and as I told you they would do, they've been looking for ways to avoid actually giving up power. So they created the fake Gaza security police, which is just Hamas by another name. They proceeded to slaughter men, women, and children based on accusations without any evidence, no court, no trial, just summary executions of people. And in many cases, not even, they didn't even wait a moment. They just went into their houses and slaughtered them. Just because those people were anti-Hamas, and Hamas does not want to have any other organization in Gaza capable of taking control of Gaza if and when they are essentially forced to give up control. Of course, it helps that President Trump has said Hamas will be disarmed one way or the other, and it may even be violent if necessary. Why does that help? It helps because it puts pressure where it belongs, squarely on Hamas. All these countries have signed on. So many countries have signed on to this deal, beyond just Israel and Hamas as the governing authority in Hamas, in Gaza, and the United States. Right? You have England, you have Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Oman, all these different states, even the Palestinian Authority backs the deal. Everyone's backing the deal. Everyone's relevant, and even other countries that have a less significant part to play. They all back the deal. So the question is, when is Hamas actually going to get serious and act responsibly and do what they have to do according to the plan and give up their guns and give up their power and step away from the political scene? To which the answer is only time will tell, but the probability is that they're going to do everything that they can not to do any of those things to the fullest. It's not a pleasant reality, but it's something we have to deal with every day until they actually do it. But we know they're going to do everything they can to test the limits of patience of the political powers that be. And if and when they see that the political powers that be are basically weak and fracturing in their unity for this to end, if they can drag it out long enough, and they believe that this plan will break down and they can basically remain in power in Gaza. How will they do that? Well, they'll do that by causing so much harm internally in Gaza that Israel will see, waiting on the sidelines, will say, you guys have to stop this. And if they don't, there'll be some probably clashes between Hamas and Israeli forces or Israeli-backed militias in Gaza, like the Al-Shabaab group, if they can reorganize, regroup, and all that. It's important to remember also that all of these groups in Gaza, even the ones that don't like Hamas, right, they still share the same ideology in one sense, right? Even Al-Shabaab, which is formerly Islamic State, right? They were formerly part of the Islamic State movement. Even they still have these kind of jihadi goals. Now, they may be okay with Israel arming them and giving them the tools to fight Hamas, but those are short-term goals, as far as we know. We have no evidence to suggest that they will actually be long-term partners for peace with Israel, right? We don't see that. We see that they are basically looking to fight Hamas for now, and that very probably they will turn their guns against Israel if and when Hamas is defeated. Now, you can also say, well, there's actually no evidence of that because in the last year or so since Israel has been working with them, they haven't attacked Israel and they've only attacked Hamas. And that's true. And that's a good first step. But I'm talking about a very short period of time in a conflict that's been going on for a very long time. And their roots are very jihadi. They're not exactly looking for peace with the Jews. Again, you could say, well, in the last year they've changed. Well, I could say, maybe. But maybe they're just doing it because they know it advances their soft jihad goals. To convince the Israeli public that they're not so bad, and then let them take power, and then might do something as bad or worse than Hamas could. Again, these are all conjecture points, or points of conjecture, and you can debate them all day long. Only time will tell. As they say, the proof is in the pudding. So that's why, as great as it is that the living hostages have come home, and yes, people celebrated it on the day and the day after, and also it was a holiday. Again, it was Simchat Torah the next day, so it marked literally 2 years from the date that people were kidnapped until the last living ones were returned. We're still not at the end of war here in Israel. We don't have a sense that this war is actually over because it isn't. I know Trump declared the war is over and there's peace breaking out and all this stuff, but even he knows, right, Hamas has yet to fulfill the points on the plan that they agreed to. And he's aware that they're doing everything they can to scuttle the deal. So we are now at a time when it really matters, right? This is where the rubber hits the road in terms of making forward progress. You've got to, stick to the plan unconditionally without changing it in little bits and ways and accepting minor breaks of the deal, right? You have to actually see that the sides that agreed to the plan do what they say they agreed to. And so far, Israel is sticking to the plan, and Hamas is not. And there should be consequences for this. Israel right now is playing it with a vision or a strategy or an aim, you can even call it a short-term aim, of getting the remaining dead hostages home. But after that, what happens? Right? After that, if Hamas doesn't disarm and withdraw from power, if Hamas can continue to do what they want in Gaza without giving up power, then the deal's being violated again. And if they begin to make, clashes with Israel, shooting at soldiers or shooting rockets into Israel, they will be, again, testing the limits of Israel's patience, when in fact, that should be a clear red flag that Israel should use to stop what is happening. And they should take serious actions, and there should be serious consequences for Hamas violating the deal. But this is politics, so we know what's probably going to happen. Hamas is going to keep doing these minor breaks that all the signatories of the deal, who are not very strong, but supported it because they were kind of pressured into it, they'll sit around and say, well, these are minor breaks. We shouldn't violate the whole deal because of these minor breaks. Anyway, I'll talk to you later. Bye.